Hola, and welcome to Vive Nutrition Radio, the first ever Spanglish podcast where you will hear interviews with the top minds in nutrition, performance, fitness, and health in both English and Spanish. Here is your host, expert registered dietitian, Andres Ayesta, on a mission to help you take your nutrition to the next level. Hope you're ready for this. Let's dive right in.
All right, what is going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of Vive Nutrition Radio. This is a very interesting one because we just finished. I'm sitting across 9 amazing... Was it 9? What do we got? 8 of us? We have 8 of us.
The wine already hit them.
8 of us in here. And this is a very special podcast. This is the first time I ever sharing so much stuff with so many people. And I am sitting here in Costa Mesa, California. And we just finished our I Believe mentorship retreat, led by the man, the one and only Toni Stefan. And I'm here sitting across 8 amazing nutrition coaches, dietitians that are doing amazing things. And we learned so much. We shed some tears. We share our stories. And I think for people listening in our audience, it's really important to understand, what makes us different and why are we doing the things we do, kind of like our why, and what is the impact that we're trying to create. And of course, people like to hear application stuff. So we're going to learn about the craziest thing that we hear in the nutrition world, the stuff that we deal with on a daily basis. Like, I'm not going to say that we compete against, but more of what we had to deal with as far as what people come to us and the kinds of things or like the background that usually they come from. But before that, I want to make sure that I go around. I'm not going to introduce you. I'm going to make sure that you introduce yourself, telling a little bit more about who you work with and where you're at, and we'll go from there. We're just going to let this conversation flow. We're having wine, so people listening in, it is 7 o'clock. It is 7 o'clock. So we're just kind of it's been a long weekend, so we're having some alcohol. Dietitians do drink alcohol, so just so you know.
We also got food catered in. Like, they brought a cart in, and there is cheese, there's tacos.
Yeah.
Carbs. Oh, man.
We have everything. So this is, guys, welcome to the Nutrition Coaches Roundtable. I believe mentorship, I guess. So we're gonna start with the one on my right and the one and only Ben Tzeel. So Ben, welcome to the show, man.
Well, thank you for having me as part of this remarkable experience. My name is Ben Tzeel. I'm from Tampa, Florida, just like the 2 co-hosts, and I specialize in working with people with diabetes. By friends. Working with people with diabetes to really monitor and maintain good blood sugars, but also get the body transformation that they want, whether they want to get stronger, whether they want to lose weight, whatever that is, athletically perform. That is what I work with. That is what I specialize in, and through sustainable ways. So nothing where it's crazy, nothing extreme, ways that they can use for the rest of their life.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing that.
Of course.
Then we have Jenn Kennedy.
Yes. Hi, I'm Jenn Kennedy. I am a nutrition coach. I'm actually the only one at this round table. It's not a registered dietitian.
There was a point for you to be here for that reason. We're gonna tell you why.
Absolutely. So I am a nutrition coach. I actually was a teacher first. I was a teacher for 8 years, an elementary teacher up until 2 weeks ago. And I listened to my gut and I listened to my passion, and I saw so many women that needed help, and I helped them before I even realized it was a business. And I truly put all of my blood, sweat, and tears into women, seeing them damage their body in so many ways, the same way that I had damaged my body for truly a decade. And I listened to my gut, I listened to my calling, and I did a complete 180, and I decided to go all in on my coaching business, and I'm now a full-time entrepreneur with these amazing people.
Congratulations.
In front of me. Thank you.
That's awesome.
Thank you. But I'm truly here because of my own journey, and because I see women all the time damage their bodies because we have so many common misconceptions around food and what's going to make weight loss happen and what's going to make us achieve that ideal body, and all of the mindset and the things that come with that. And so I'm grateful to be here with all of these RDs.
Thank you. And we have Toni. Toni's in here too.
So my name is Toni, and I am a registered dietitian, owner of Diet Tips with Toni. So it is a full-time online coaching business, but it didn't start like that. It started as a blog of me just providing nutrition education and information because I felt like the people who if you're listening to this, you probably looked up a podcast or went onto Google to try to find, the answer to weight loss or how to feel better or how to stay motivated. And I was finding that unfortunately what was on the internet was saturated with misinformation, myths that I know we're going to get into in a little bit, but I wanted to be that reliable resource. And so I was someone who personally struggled with my weight growing up, and I had to do it alone. And I didn't want to, I know how hard it is and how difficult it is to lose weight when no one really gets you, understands you, or you don't have the support. So I went to school to become a registered dietitian to learn the proper ways of how to eat. And what I really help my clients with now is focus on healthy habits and behaviors and sustainability and self-confidence building and really just committing to something and following through with it and gaining the momentum to continue to succeed. And I find that when you put it in simple terms, instead of me trying to, educate people and use all these fancy words that didn't help, I try to keep it simple terms. And basically through my podcast and through my coaching and through my Instagram, that's really how I help people, is really just giving them the basics and helping them to gain success, gain momentum, and build off of that. And so that's what I do and why I do what I do.
That's awesome. By the way, guys, if you guys are listening to this, I'm going to give you a little, for the people listening in, Toni is going to do her first TED Talk pretty soon. So we're going to talk about that.
Thanks to Desi. You're gonna hear from Desi, but he is someone I remember when you were applying. You were considering doing the mentorship program, and Toni was like, "What do you think of him?" Because we don't let anybody in this thing, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, "He did a TED Talk. He needs to be in here." For my own selfish reasons, I need him to be in this. So thank you, Desi, because if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't have had the right people to. I actually had done I applied for a TED Talk before, and they told me I was a close second and to reapply. But that could have been a long, long journey, and I actually missed the deadline, so he's helped me expedite the process. Awesome. So thank you, Desi.
We look forward to that.
I'm excited for my idea. More on that. I'm going to have Andreas on my podcast. Mm-hmm. So when I interview you, my idea will be a little bit more fluffed out, and we can talk about that on my podcast.
Awesome. Looking forward to that. We have the one and only Jenna Warner.
Hi, I'm super excited to be here. This is actually my first time ever being on a podcast.
Congratulations.
Yes. Podcast virgin, yes. So first time ever. My name is Jenna Warner. I am Happy Slim Healthy on Instagram, and my tagline is that I help people learn to eat right for the rest of their lives, and I really work with people. Specifically now, it's been very much tailored to people that have been failed by diet culture. So people that have tried everything and are tired of tracking, and they're tired of numbers, and they're really just learning or interested in learning how to eat. They want the education behind why they're doing these things. I specifically work with people who are active because I believe in the behavior change aspect of it. So people that are already putting in the reps and not seeing the results. So we take it back. We teach them how to eat, why they're eating certain things, and really my whole purpose is how we make this fun for people by educating them in a way where they can do the damn thing for the rest of their lives. So making it fun, keeping it sustainable, and we eat every single day, and we should enjoy those things. So that's what I do. I love what I do. I love nutrition. I love food so much, and that's the passion that I want to share with people. So thank you for having me here. I also love Andres, and this room right now is full of people that I would trust to refer clients to, and Andres is one I have referred 2 clients to, and they're in love with him. I am not afraid to say that they were not the right fit for me, and they're absolutely crushing it and reaching their goals with him, and that's something that makes me super happy. I'm very blessed to be here with you, with the rest of these people in this room, and I'm excited.
That's awesome. Thank you, Jenna. We have Alex Turoff, or Turoff. How do you say it? Is it
Turoff.
Turoff.
Mm-hmm.
There we go.
I'm Alex Turoff, and I am the owner and founder of Alex Turoff Nutrition, which is an online nutrition coaching business. And
badass one too.
Oh, thanks. I work with primarily women, although men, you're welcome, but primarily women who have been on the diet bandwagon, the hamster wheel, like one diet after another, and they're just not seeing results, not because they don't want it or they don't know what to do, just because they're trying to do it the wrong way. basically. So I use flexible dieting approach. I preach calorie and macronutrient awareness, not obsession. So I focus on the education and I focus on the behavior change, and I really focus on the fact that it's okay to love food, and you should love food, and you can also still get to your goal that way. So yeah, I'm trying to save people from years and years and years of chronic dieting, which I did. I was in a really dark place, and I don't want anyone else to have to do that. So that's what I do.
Thank you, Alex, for sharing all that. Desi, my man Desi, what's going on? The Fit Perennial, Fit Dad's Coach. I think there's a few different acronyms that we can have for him, but welcome to the show, man.
Yeah, no, this is the second time being on.
Second time, that's
man,
right. He's been on the podcast.
I'm glad to be back. So my name is Desi Abeda. So I'm a registered dietitian, online nutrition coach, entrepreneur, a proud husband, a proud father to a beautiful 3-year-old little girl. So I am a dietitian with professional sports. So what I really love to do is to mold that concept with my true passion, which is empowering dads and men to be better role models in their family. Because I think the thing that I continually see with the population that I work with and the wonderful guys that I work with is that they've put their career, the health of their family, everything else first, and their health has taken a really huge backseat. And what I continually find is that even when I jump on calls or jump on video calls or coaching calls with clients, it's really hard for them to recognize how important their role is. And it starts with filling up their cup first before they can fill up another one. And I think that's the thing that I continually see. So the thing that continually revs me is not only just being a good example for those men, but giving them an opportunity to be heard. Because I don't know how you all feel about this, but my thought process with men is that it's really hard for them to talk about their feelings and some really hard shit. And so I'm there to really be that liaison to say, like, it's okay to have fear. It's okay to, have a dad bod. I get it, It's okay. At the same time, though, like, how are you showing up in your family's life? Are you able to take care of yourself first so that you can take care of them? So that's the thing that really revs me. So I'm excited to be back on, my friend.
Thank you, Desi. And then we have the last one, and we have to introduce him again.
El patron.
And he's about to start yelling. Saving the best for last. We have a podcast psychic, amazing friend, and he is a great friend that I'm excited to have him as part of like the VV Nutrition Radio, I guess, team, because it's gonna grow. Antonio Castillo, welcome back, man. How's it going?
Ya tu sabe, we are in it. We are riding it right now. Feeling good. Just had a couple glasses of wine. We got some cheese going up in here. It is a wonderful day, wonderful evening here in Costa Mesa. No need to be tired, everyone. We are excited to be here again, as always. And yeah, thanks for, as always, having me, Andres. If you want to find me, you can find me at Coach Toni Castillo on Instagram. And as I always say, hydrate or diedrate.
That's a typical thing that you said. So thank you so much, guys, for being here. I'm so happy that you got to share, a little bit about what you do, what inspired you, and kind of your why and why you decided to help people. And I'm hearing a lot of common things here. You are helping people overcome struggles that are deeper than weight loss, that are deeper than, I just want to look better. You're going and diving deep into like the pains and struggles that put people in a place of discomfort, low confidence, and all these different things that are really kind of affecting them. So I guess we can kind of move on to this conversation to really hearing what is the problem that exists right now in the nutrition industry? What are some of the craziest, I guess we're going to make this a little bit more fun, and what is the craziest things? Because I'm sure people listening into this right now, whether you're driving, whether you're listening to this, at the gym, you have probably you will probably resonate with at least one of the statements that we're going to talk about as far as the craziest thing you've ever heard. I'm going to start with the first one, which is the fucking celery juice diet.
I forgot that was still around.
Yeah, so we're gonna talk we're going to talk, like I said, about the what we hear. We're not going to dive deep into it because otherwise we'll be here all night talking about whether that's good or not.
We don't have enough wine for that.
We don't have enough wine for that. But we're still going to cover it so you understand exactly why we're actually not making fun of it, but simply because of the fact that it's bogus, no scientific evidence behind it, and then the reasoning why you need to stop listening to those things and you need to start listening to proper advice from people that actually care for what you're trying to accomplish. So who wants to start with this? Who wants to start with a crazy claim? I know Jenn Kennedy is about to share someone. So
I think the hardest thing, honestly, as nutrition experts is the fact that people are buying into things that are not only not rooted in scientific data, but then also are just so far-fetched. And not only are they so far-fetched, but the fact that they cause your body so much damage. And so much of what we do, I think all of us, like you guys heard, the very large difference of what we do. We do the same thing, but we do very different things. I think that we can all agree that the top thing that we do is we try to help our clients unlearn all the bullshit. We try to wipe the slate clean and try to undo damage that's been done. I mean, I know personally, the first part of my program is to set foundation strong because their metabolisms are wrecked. All of these things, like the celery juice diet, and we're going to dive way more into them. You literally think celery juice is going to be the thing that helps you lose weight. Let's talk about what happens on a metabolic level or a cellular or a hormonal level when you're consuming next to nothing. And that's what kills us. And like you said, we're not making fun of it. We're sitting here saying, get a trusted expert and stop believing that this cheap fix is going to solve your problems, because it's not only not having you lose the weight and gain the confidence and everything that you want, but it's literally damaging your body. And that's what kills us. And your brain and your mindset, because every time that you don't reach that weight loss goal and you're like, oh yes, I got the thing, they told me it's gonna work, this is it, and you don't reach your goals, it buries your self-esteem. And we've all been there. And all of a sudden you're lower and lower and lower than you were when you first started. And that's what kills us the most. Yep. And the celery juice diet, to really think celery juice is literally going to do that. It's insane. But people do it because people are in your face being like, this is it. Look at my before and after. Look at my abs. Look at my boobs. Look at this. Look at my skin. I can sleep. I have sex. It's all these things that we look at that's absurd. But it hits where they need it to, and that's why people are buying into it. And that's why if you're consuming, we're all guilty of it. Diet pills, us girls, how many diet pills did we take growing up? Everything. Literally, my income as a teenager went on diet pills.
And we're not buying it. And when we're buying these things, we're not buying the dream body. We're buying the feeling of accomplishing a body that we can actually feel proud of, whether you're a man, whether you're a dad, or whether you're somebody that is a woman that is struggling with weight issues or eating disorders. It really depends on that. So no one is immune to it. Toni?
It worked. If celery juice cured everything, why is everybody still struggling? Mm-hmm. Right? These are the questions.
I would be doing it.
Right. Well, everyone in this room would be doing it. If it worked, if it helped us, it would have solved the problem, and we wouldn't still be talking about it.
Yeah. I always tell people that. I said, if they found the answer to weight loss, then I'd be out of a job. And I'm still in work. I have lots of work to do. I am not out of a job. And I love what I do. No, but I think that the main takeaway is, we all know that we want the weight loss. We want to feel good. We want to be healthy, right? But anything in life, if you really look back onto the things that you've succeeded in life, it took work, it took discipline, and it took time. So for whatever reason, nutrition is this perceived of if I just do it for a little bit, I'm going to get results, right? If I just do it for a short time, that's all I need to do, and then it's going to be gone, it's going to be gone forever. But, you think about things if you put the parallels between relationships, they take work, right? Making money, getting rich, It takes work. Although people think that people just like get rich overnight, they don't. Getting a college degree, going through school, learning anything takes time. And so if any nutrition program is promising you to get results fast and you don't need to learn anything, that's not for you. I know every single person in this room, the nutrition coaches, registered dietitians, we're good at what we do because we educate along the way. So if someone just promises you a quick fix and you don't have to do any work, then
all you have to do is cut out this list of foods, and if you do that, you will see results. But what happens when I don't want to do that? What happens when I want to eat bread? And now I don't know. How does that fit? How does it fit? How do I eat bread? Can I eat bread and lose weight? Or I need to rely on you to tell me I have this list of foods that I can't eat, and as long as I do that, it's fine. But the problem is real life gets in the way. And all of the emotional stuff gets in the way. And like all of the years of dieting that you built up stop you from actually executing that plan. So like in theory, if you could follow this super low carb diet that cuts out all these foods and you can't eat nightshade vegetables, this is a new one. Someone came to me with a plan and they're not allowed to use balsamic vinegar on their salad.
Why?
Yeah. And not even that, just it was a random rule that worked within that program, right? I don't know, 10 calories and 2 grams of carbs per tablespoon. Like, that makes no sense, but people buy into this. And then they wonder why they're not seeing results. It's not because they're not following, it's because they're trying to follow it and then they're binging. Or the weekend comes and they can't do it, or they give up after 1 week. So it's about finding something that can be sustainable, not for 4 weeks, not even for 8 weeks, not even for a year, for the rest of your life, because we have to do this every day. We have to eat every single day. And that's not going to change. So you got to settle in for the rest of your life, because you're not.
But here's the question. So how do we change people's mentalities about that? Because we live in a society that, that it's very difficult. How do we change somebody's perspective from going from the quick fix, the very quick diet thing, to now changing it to like, hey, this is going to take 6 months. This is going to take a year or longer. What is that narrative that you have? Like, when somebody, and for those of you listening in, if you've been struggling, if you've been in a place of pain because of the way that your body looks or the way that your body feels, we have, Ben Tzeel here that deals with people with diabetes, which is like, it's an illness. It's a chronic disease, that can kill you. How do you switch? How do you create that narrative to get them to change and to buy into that?
And that's the power of coaching. I think that's why every single one of us wake up every single day with a fire lit in our soul, because we understand that it's not one Instagram post. It's not one podcast. It's not one infographic. It's the fact that we have to physically, mentally, emotionally support our clients every single week, because it's not going to change. And we've all been through it. Like, we've all been there, that we wanted it to change like that. Like, we wanted our income to go like that. We wanted our body to go like that. Yes.
We have integrity.
We do. And it's okay.
We won't give people what they want.
No. Yeah, we're going to give them what they, yes. And it is a hard mindset, because as a human in living in 2019, we're conditioned to want quick results. If I pick up my iPhone, I can get what I want like that. I can order my food like that. I can get an Uber like that, right? Which we did, which is how we got this rosé, okay? Because the service here at the Marriott's really fast, wherever we are. But truly, we're conditioned to want things quickly. And as coaches in this space, we have to help people realize that, yes, we could give them results very quickly. But you know what it's going to do? It's going to damage their body, and it's going to damage their mindset. And so that's the power of education, the power of unlearning, and the power of realizing that nothing has worked before this. They wouldn't, you guys, whoever's listening, no one would hire us if things worked before this. We can get you to lose 25 pounds. Damage the hell out of your metabolism. It's really easy.
How do you keep it off?
We've had eating disorders. It's really easy. But we have to condition and help and really educate. We're educators. Every single one of us. I was a teacher. I'm not anymore, but every single one of us, RDs or not, we're educators because we're helping transform people's lives. And that's what we have to do. And it's not going to take one coaching call or one podcast.
Excellent.
What do we say about the expense? Nutrition coaching is expensive. Let's be honest, right? It costs a lot of money to work with an expert. So really, can I talk about Beachbody?
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know how much it is. I don't know how much Beachbody costs.
This is like, there's no restrictions on this podcast.
I don't know
you can cost, you can do whatever.
Beachbody costs. But all I could tell you...
can be anywhere from like $160 to like $250, depending on...
For what? Just one time?
So it's like for videos or shakes.
For the year, though?
No, monthly.
Monthly. Oh, so it's not even that cheap.
No.
So you can spend...
More mad people.
Yeah. When you are going to a doctor...
Shakeology is part of Beachbody.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure the package that's like... No, I think they're more than... The package is like $120 a month.
Yeah.
$40 a month.
But when you go to a doctor, when you look for a doctor, do you say, let me find the one with the least experience who's the cheapest to treat my cancer? Or do you say, I'm going to go to the best freaking doctor. I don't care how much it is. Like, I need help. You're going to have to invest in it. And you do. And so the problem is sort of financial. It costs a lot of money to work with a coach, but it costs more money not to work with an expert. You know
So
how many
I wanna-
years you can save?
Yeah, I want to send this over to, because I think this is important. I want to send this over to Ben Tzeel because, you know, like, what is the cost, dude, of like having type 1 diabetes? But then what is the cost of not doing anything nutritionally?
I was going to say, you have a choice. I mean, you can say, okay, let's pay $550 to go work with Ben for the month and do it for 6 months because after all, you didn't get to this point if I can't get you back to where you want to be in 3 weeks. It didn't take 3 weeks for you to get here. It probably took you more than even 3 years. It could have even been 3 decades. So at that point, I have to undo all of that crap you've already done. That being said, it's going to take time. So if you say, okay, $550 a month, let's say it takes us 9 months. Think about the cost of getting a new kidney. Think of the cost of dialysis. Think of the cost of not being able to see, which then you can't hang out with your family and enjoy it. You can't experience life the way you want to experience it. You can't. Right. And you're right.
Like, what is that worth?
Right. The cost of just living life feeling like you're never ever comfortable and you're never confident. You're never feeling like you're the person that you want to be and giving the 10 out of 10 experience of yourself to everybody else because you don't like you because you're feeling like crap all the time.
You're miserable.
Let me ask you a question.
Sure.
So, about diabetes, but
all good.
A question.
I'm all
a
in.
question just to put it out there to anyone listening. I mean, why do people do Whole30 12 times? Like
Because
the whole year.
The
like
12th
literally.
time,
Like-
it might work.
Right? But like why my biggest question for anybody out there listening is why do we think that the 30-day mindset is the fix when it's been proven over and over again when these people post that they're on Whole30 round 6 and I'm not picking just on Whole30, right? Or I'm starting on Monday or I'm going to do Jenny Craig for the 1500th time, the 1500th meal. Like the core issue that these things are breaking down for us is because they teach you nothing. You follow words on paper and you're not educated. And just like Jenn just said, that we are educators in disguise with apples in our hands. But like literally, it's because they teach you nothing. There's no tactical advice or ways to apply the action that we're asking you to do. They don't give you that. So
They give you rules.
They give you rules,
Right.
right? And rules that are really scary.
I don't want to follow the rules.
Yes.
Because
you're
they're not
Alex and you're a
sustainable.
rule breaker.
I want to follow the rules. I want to go out with my husband. I want to be able to drink wine. I want to be able to eat the bread on the table.
Yeah.
So guess what? Your rules that you gave me, F them. Like,
because they're not
that's the
sustainable
problem.
for our lives. Because the reality is we're humans and we have parties and we have celebrations and we have life. We have life. Not even any of those things. We have life. And if you look at the root cause of eating disorders, and I can speak for myself, is the fact that because Shape Magazine told me you can't eat this, you can't eat this, you can't eat this. So what did I do? I restricted them. But that your willpower only goes so far, and then life happens. I was a 20-year-old girl in college. Life happened, and I binged constantly because I couldn't possibly stay away from everything. And that is truly how eating disorders are formed. And it's truly how, and even if you're someone, you're like, oh, I haven't had an eating disorder, but have you had disordered eating? Because it's the same damn thing. It's this, yes, and it's the same thing. And it's because these Whole30 or keto or the RP template or whatever the fuck else was given to you, these fucking guidelines were given to you that are not sustainable. And then what happens when you fail? You're a failure. You internalize the fact that you couldn't stick with it because, well, there's pizza in front of me. Literally, there's pizza in front of me right now and wine in front of me. And 7 years ago, I would have been like, oh my God, it's carbs. Oh my God, it's cheese. Oh my God, it's fat.
What if someone said to you when you were in the thick of it, because this would happen to me, if they were like, I'll give you $1,000 to eat that pizza, and I would be like, I can't eat that.
Oh, but you know what I would have done? I would have eaten it because my willpower ran out and I would have thrown it up.
Or
because I felt so
if I would have
guilty.
eaten it, I would have been crippled for 7 days.
Or you would have
beating myself up. I can't eat tomorrow. I got to go to the gym for 6 hours. How many
minutes of cardio would Shape Magazine have told us that you need to burn?
They really do tell you that.
Oh, they still do to this day.
They literally tell you, like, if you eat this, exercise and do this. Like, that's insane.
Right.
That's literally insane.
So I also think that this is a bigger issue too, because if we are like leading the next generation, like leaving our legacy, kids are fucking watching. So it's like what I'm always trying to preach too is like, what message are you sending to your next generation? If you claim to love your kids, claim to love the next generation, they're the future, what are we showing them? How are you presenting yourself with how you talk about your body, how you talk about the food, which is like so painful for me to see when someone is really struggling with that, but also talks about all these really vain reasons why they're on the Whole30 or the other bullshit diets that are out there. It's like these kids, they're literally molding their world from what they see with their parents, with whatever that is, media. I think it's a bigger issue that it's like, okay, you need to get your shit together for a couple reasons. The biggest reason is the next generation. That's the thing that continually speaks to me.
I completely agree with that, Desi, but I have a question for you. How do you deal with someone whose spouse isn't on board with what you're doing? And so you're trying to preach what your child needs to learn. Because I'll tell you from personal experience, my mom did all those diets. She still does those diets to this day, knowing that I'm a dietitian and I can help her. She just told me the other day she's going back on a 500 calorie a day diet. And I asked her why. Yeah, my mom. And I asked her why. She's like, oh, because it worked. And I was like,
but did it? Why are you going back on it?
Yeah. Mic drop it.
Yeah. And so how do we get not only our kids, but sometimes our spouses to listen to what we're trying to say?
So I think my answer to that is there's a big issue with shame and empathy, right? I think that but I think the diet industry does a really shitty job about shaming parents into doing what they should be doing. And I think the bigger message sits behind empathy. So if you ask me, like anyone who has ever worked in a setting where you have to see kids, let's get real. If you're seeing a kid, it's a family intervention. Okay, they're not buying the fucking food. They're not cooking the food. It's a family intervention. So it's a little bit more of how do we get the parents on board, and also how do we get everyone to a place where you can speak to one another with more curiosity and empathy at the dinner table. That's the biggest thing that I tend to see. And it's like, this is more family. This is not the kid. If I'm seeing a kid because he's quote unquote obese, I want to know a little bit more about how that family table looks. If it's non-existent, then that's the fucking issue. We need to get back to having family meals. So
what if everyone's eating a different meal? What if mom's eating only cauliflower rice, or she has her own meal prep meal, and she can never eat what the family's eating because she's always on a diet? Like, how does that affect kids?
I mean, it affects everything. It's the same thing. Like when we are supposed to be sharing a meal together, that's your time of that social atmosphere. That's your time of love. I mean, there's a glowing amount of research that is stating like families who have family meals, these kids are doing better in school. they get in less trouble, they're less likely to acquire addictions, everything. So like, how do you have the conversation about it? It's a little bit more of like, how do you see yourself as a parent, and how do you really want to interact with your kids? Because let's get real, no family should be eating different meals. Let's just, it's crazy, right?
Yeah.
It goes back to like, okay, where do your food values lie, right? For me, it's very cultural. For me, it's like everything that I've based the way that I teach food to my little girl and my family is based off of things that my mom taught me and that her mom taught her. So it's like, how do I want to involve my culture into that love of food?
Yeah. It's beautiful.
It's amazing.
How sad is it if you have to go? I mean, I've been there. I've been to a holiday with Tupperware of food weighed out and measured because I was too scared if I even touched the antipasto, because my mom's Italian, that it would spiral.
Yep.
So, like, that's an issue.
And what's the hardest thing, too, honestly, I mean, a lot of my clients, and when I think about, I mean, where I came from, is that the way that our parents act around food is the way that the young child internalizes food. But not only food, how to gain weight, how to get skinny, how to look good, how to feel good. You know, and as women, I work with a lot of older women that they were once 18, 20, 25-year-old girls that struggled with their relationship with themselves, their mindset, and their relationship with food. And then what happened when they had kids? It didn't go anywhere. They just got pregnant and they had kids. And then what they're doing without even realizing, and I was a school teacher for 8 years in a very affluent area. These poor little girls come to school, or poor little boys come to school and talk about how they can't eat that because it's going to make them fat. Or why are you eating a fruit snack? That's going to make you fat. And unfortunately, my clients have not even realized that what they're saying kids internalize. When I look at my story and where my eating disorder came from, it didn't have anything to do with really anything my parents said, but had everything to do with the way that I internalized the world around me. And that's what parents, we need to really focus on, is with themselves. Number one, you have to be strong with it yourself, and then you can portray it on your kids. But understanding our relationship with food and our relationship with ourselves, and realizing that if we're trying to do Whole30 and we're eating this meal, but our poor kids are eating this, what type of message does that send to their kids? Well, then I'm going to be fat and mom's not. The best thing a client said to me was, you know what I did? I ate eggs with my child because I could eat the whole egg. I didn't need a smoothie. And that's what we do, because that's where life changes, truly.
And I mean, like, for me at least, I know every summer I staff at a conference for kids with diabetes. And I've had kids there, they're toddlers all the way up to 18. And I've had kids come up to me, they know I'm a dietitian, they know I was in school previously for nutrition when I was there. And they'll say, they're 6 years old, and they'll say, I'm on a diet. And I'm like, you already have diabetes, so like, what's your diet? Well, I can only have these certain things, I can only have this many carbs a day, and I can only have, and I'm like, you shouldn't be worrying about all this stuff, first of all. Like, you have to worry about your diabetes before anything. But beyond that, they're 6. They're saying they're on a fucking diet. Who the fuck is on a diet when they're 6? Like, where are they getting that from? Most likely their parents. And then, I mean, in that situation, do you talk to the parents? Do you not talk to the parents? Are you overstepping the bounds? It's kind of becomes a delicate situation. But you already have with diabetes a disordered relationship with food, because you have to constantly talk about it. You constantly have to think about it. You constantly have to be managing your blood sugar, and it's predominantly with food. So, yeah.
So I think like we're kind of what we're getting here is the fact that this is a lot of things are rooted in our childhood. I do talk about this a lot of the times. The way that you teach your child how to eat is going to be reflected on how they're going to act in the future as an adult. And I think it's because I've worked with a lot of clients that are coming from, and I ask him, if you don't have a person, a coach or a dietitian or anything that asks you about your history, your childhood, then you need to know these things, because your choices and the choices that you make around food are going to be rooted in what you were doing when you were little. And I tell this all the people, like, for example, I talk a lot about cravings. And I say, why do cravings happen? Cravings are a combination of a physiological response connected to an emotional, there's an emotional connection. And I tell people, when you have a craving, that's your body telling you there's a need for food. But then you associate it, obviously, with an emotional part, because I said, when is the last time that you had a bowl of broccoli and you had an enjoyable and an amazing experience?
Every day.
Literally. My whole 30 minutes.
Yeah, so there's but then when is the last time, for example, that you had chocolate and an enjoyable experience, like 5 minutes ago? Every day. So I think, well, it depends. So yeah, there's obviously for different people with different things, but there's always, and when we were kids, why do we get rewarded with, like, or we get rewarded with food, whether it's like salty, like going to McDonald's, or getting rewarded with like candy, dessert, like that kind of stuff. So it creates like those kinds of things and those behaviors, but then at the same time, there's a lot more that goes into it. Jenna? Watch out with the cable.
Oh God. And that's how we lost the phone and the wand.
So knowing these things and like understanding that these issues with food and the weight loss stem from when we are 5 years old, 6 years old, 7 years old, whenever it was, or younger, why do we think that we can solve it in 30 days? So that's the core issue, and I think that's what I really dropped the mic before, and now I'm dropping it. But like that's one of the things that I think, if you're listening to this and you're struggling with weight loss and you're upset with your progress so far with the crash diets or the fad diets that you're following right now, it's understanding that the issue you're trying to solve is so much more than the weight that you're trying to lose. And it's fixing the relationship with how you look at food. And one of the things that I mentioned today in a talk that I gave was that if you have a box of cookies in your house, in your home, and you feel like you have to either lock them up because you can't have access to them, or you have to go to the grocery store and pass right by them because you actually can't buy them, they can't be in your house because you can't control yourself around them, that's a problem. And that's not a sustainable approach to living your life. And like putting yourself in different situations and understanding that these foods and these triggers are going to be around. What are your strategies? What are your solutions? And what is your ability to get through that instead of just kind of putting that Band-Aid over it? So my takeaway here is that, like what everybody just said, is that this stems, whether you believe it or not, from when you were a little kid, and we cannot fix this in 30 days.
Yeah. I think, something I like to say to my clients is it's not about willpower. Like, you want to do it. You're screwed up, and you're going to have to deal with it. Just like anything. Yeah, it's like therapy. It's going to take a long time to fix these things because you keep trying, and you keep trying, and you keep trying. And if you could do it, you would have done it already. Mm-hmm. But you can't because you wind up doing all of these things that you've done over and over and over again, and you feel like a failure. You have to do this hard work and it's worth it though. Like, imagine, even if it takes a year. I mean, what's that compared to how many years you've been miserable in your body?
Right.
Really, like, it's not a lot of time. It's going to pass anyway, and you're going to be even more miserable if you don't do it. So you just have to be honest with yourself. The quick fixes, the 30-day things, the things that cut out food, if they worked, we would be selling them. Like, we would. I would be telling you to do that. Instead, I have to sit here and tell people it's going to take a long time, and you're not going to lose weight right away. You might even gain weight right away because we are trying to normalize your metabolism and get you to eat enough. So how does that sound to a potential client? It doesn't. How much easier would it be for me to say, like, oh, I have the answer. You're going to lose 10 pounds this month. Here's the list of foods you don't have to eat. But that's the difference between a professional and a scam artist, quite honestly.
One thing I just definitely want to clarify is I think what might be confusing people, and I come across this a lot, is they hear our name as dietitian and they automatically get cringy and they're like, okay, dietitian means I have to be on a diet, so I have to restrict. But this person looks legit, so it's like, should I help? Can they help me? Are they going to help me? Like, this is something that's going to make me give up all the foods, right? All the things you were talking about. But we in this room are trying to redefine the way people think of diets. The term diet is not, when we talk about changing your diet, we're simply just talking about the foods that you eat, the foods that consist of what you eat. That's our diet. So we want to just help you to learn how to eat, because if you're listening to this, you are a human being. And if you're a human being, you're a mammal, and a mammal needs to eat. So you can't avoid the fact that you need to eat. It's just inevitable, right? So you need to learn how to eat. Just like if you want to have a roof over your head, you need to learn how to make money, right? You need to learn how to take care of the necessities in life. So learning how to eat, you can learn it. You can do it by fueling your body with kind of, the food that's really processed and not great for you. And, really just like, when you eat it, you don't feel good. Or you can fuel your body with the foods that are going to give you some sort of nutrition and balance, but also make room for the things like the cookies that are in your cabinets, and find the balance within you so you can end this cycle of dieting. Stop doing Whole30 1,000 times, right? Stop trying to figure out what's good for you, keto, blah, 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 and just live your life. Like, I think everybody in here agrees that there's so much more to life than obsessing over your food choices. And I think we all do this because we were all in that place before where we would obsess over our food choices, and we realized that it held us back, and we didn't want to be held back in life, right? So if you truly want to be your best self, or honestly just be a good father or a good mother or a good spouse or caretaker, whatever it is, you have to learn how to eat. So like, these diets make it seem like you can figure it out really quick. You can't figure it out quick. But if you work with a professional, in 6 months to a year, you can figure it out. And then imagine the possibilities that you can have the remainder of your life. So stop trying to take the shortcut. There's no shortcuts. You have to learn how to eat. You're not going to figure it out overnight. But with the proper guidance and education, you can learn how to do it and then never have to worry about it again, right? We work on habits and sustainability, right? Yeah. So learn the habits. It'll become second nature. You always have to be kind of mindful, check in, have someone keeping you accountable. But in general, there's a lot of the work that you do in the beginning becomes easy after that. So really just work until it becomes automatic. And then you can, it's amazing because it's funny because like when my clients, like, they don't realize the possibilities that can happen in their life. And I know all of you have experienced that, right? I've had people that have worked with me. They graduate from the program and they're like, I just want you to know, like, you inspired me. I feel really good. I feel really motivated. I went to school. I'm an engineer, but you know what? I know I love interior design and I know I've had this passion for interior design, but I was fearful. I didn't have the confidence to go do it. And I was so worried about what my parents were going to think because like they helped me get through being an engineer, which is like makes a lot of money. Like, how does that make any sense? But if you're not happy and you're not fulfilled, then that stuff doesn't matter, right? So we're here to be put on this earth for a reason, and you can't find that reason if you're stuffing your emotions with food, if you're living in a life of just like day to day, like this is my day, right? You should be waking up with excitement every day. I know we all wake up feeling so excited about our day, right? We love our life because we fuel our body, right, to give us the energy to do what we love to do, right? So if anybody's listening to this and you think that you can like find a quick way, it's not happening, right? I hope that's the biggest takeaway that you get, that although we're named dietitians are in our name, we're not putting you on a diet. We're helping you break up with diets, right? We're going to get you off the meal plans. We're going to teach you how to eat so you can live your life.
And the hardest thing, honestly, is the fact that a lot of mindset goes with that. And the reason that you are, or we were, where we were at is because of damage that's been done in the past. And because the bullshit that's been fed to us, and the celery and the keto and the meal plan and the whatever it is, every single one of us has failed continuously. And we understand and realize, because we have no problem with getting vulnerable and understanding and, seeking a coach or seeking a mentor or each other or a therapist. We have no problem with that. Because we now understand, and what our coaching does is that we get deep into the reason behind why the weight even happened to begin with. Like, why are you 20 pounds overweight? There's a reason. You ate your feelings. You had a bad breakup. You got a divorce. You failed whatever it was, or you're not fulfilled in your life. There's a reason why you're putting on this weight and you're having a hard. There's a reason why you, air quotes, fail every time. There's a reason why you run out of willpower every time. Sometimes it is a bullshit sustainability. You can't sustain Whole30 the rest of your life and live a life of happiness. You can't. But most times there's a reason underneath why you even got to where you are to begin with. And that's what we get to do. And it's the most rewarding thing, because we don't only get you in the body that you need, that you want to be in, but we do unlock. Like, I was like, oh my God, I realized last month 4 of my clients got promotions. And I was like, what? It's because they live a life of confidence, because they finally something's working and they love the way that their life is. So I truly, you said it, Toni, we truly are therapists in what we're doing. Yep. And if you want to dive deep and you want to get to the root cause and you want to literally forever transform your life, your emotions, and your mindset, then you need to go with a professional. And you are going to pay top dollar for going with a professional, because we put a lot of energy and we transform your life. If you don't want that, then go with the meal plan until you're ready to work with us.
I think,
you will.
Yeah.
I think that's the main reason why people don't go with a professional.
So hold on, to Toni saying something. Remember, you have to be closer to the microphone to make sure everybody listens to you.
I just want to say that I think we should talk about the fear of change. And I think that a lot of us fear change. And the reason why I think I have the hardest time with my my program to work with me is a minimum 6-month commitment. And it's been a lot harder to kind of gain that traction, because these people, I think, are really recognizing that, holy shit, like, my life can be different. And what does that mean for me? And they don't really know the answer, and we fear what we don't know. Right? And so I think that it's important for, anybody listening, like, it's okay to not really know what that's going to look like. I think it can be a little bit intimidating, because we do all kind of have our shit together. We understand, Sometimes. No, well, I mean, obviously we still struggle, right? But we've overcome the nutrition aspect, right? We're living a life that we've designed for ourselves. We're all entrepreneurs. We're not taking guidance from anyone. We're our own bosses, and that can be intimidating. But I think the biggest takeaway is that we didn't just get here, right? We all struggled. We all did the work, right? We didn't understand. I was very fearful to leave my full-time position and to do this, right? But I also knew that there was something calling me to do something bigger and better. And I think we all have those voices in our head, right? I think I just posted about this yesterday, actually. Like, there's a voice in our head that's telling us we can lose the weight, we can get fit, we can feel healthy, we don't have to be guilty about every food choice that we make, right? There's something in our head that's telling us that we can do better and be better, but then there's that other voice that tells us, wait a minute, no, you can't. Like, you can't do it. You've never done it before, so why would you be successful, right? So how could that work for me? And I think that's that fear of failure, or that fear of success even, right? Because they've never been successful before. So it's like fear of screwing up again. But also, I think the main thing that people fear is succeeding. What does that feel like? What does that look to me? How do my relationships change? Because when you're healthier and you're happier, you will have new friends. People don't like people behind. People you will leave behind. You'll have new friends. You might even end a relationship, and that's scary. And people don't like change. What do you deal with that? And so, although Jenn said we're like therapists, we do help people with their emotions. But a lot of times, I refer my clients to therapy. A lot of times. Because if you don't control the mindset, the emotions, then I go to therapy every week. It's like, we're all in therapy. We're all in therapy. If you don't control the mindset or the emotions, how are you going to change? And I think it's all about personal development. People come to work with us for physical transformation, but what they come out with is an emotional, mental transformation that's stronger than ever. And that's the biggest thing. And I think that's what people fear the most. But that's what people need to recognize is what they're signing up for. And it's scary, and we've all been there. But life is so much better when you overcome it.
I'm sorry to interrupt. No. I was just going to say that sometimes I even graduate clients before they actually even reach their weight loss goals, because the weight loss itself becomes less important. because when they've realized that, so my backstory is I've been so shredded that like I would drink a glass of wine and I would watch an ab disappear and I would lose my fucking mind. Like lose it. Like I would double up on classes. I would go nuts because I could see that happening. Obviously it wasn't actually happening, but I could see it in my head. I painted this picture. It screwed me up, right? So when you've been there, when you've been to that place, and I never gave anything up, I ate those things, but I punished myself afterwards, right? Whether it was physical punishment or mental punishment, you know, I've been there and I see what these people are going through now and I understand how hard that is to break. But the reality is that sometimes we go into these like coaching conversations with people and we want them to lose the weight so bad. But the reality is learning how to manage yourself in different food situations and how to manage your response to the way some things work or some things just don't is so much more valuable. And like, yeah, and to be able to teach that, I think when you're investing in a dietitian and a nutrition coach and you realize that the weight loss is the least of your worries. And I'm not talking if you have like medical reasons to lose weight, that's very different. But when we're talking about the superficial weight loss to some extent, and I don't mean to downplay it because I know it's important to people and it was important to me as well. But when that is what we're stemming for, we need to really dig deep and realize that it's so much more about this than anything else. And when you sacrifice this to get to your goal, there's a problem. And I can say that because I've been there, and I can say that comfortably because once I got to my goal, I couldn't keep my goal living that life. And so my mission is to teach people that you can reach your goals. You want abs, I fucking want them for you too, but like they're not gonna happen in 30 days. And you're gonna be able to eat your Chex Mix that I just ate a bowl of, and you're gonna eat your wine and drink your wine and enjoy your life. And
How do you eat wine? Could you explain to me how you eat wine?
It's not gonna happen in 30 days.
She had that rosé.
The whole bottle.
I just have a question for everyone here. I think Desi brought it up. He said the diet industry. I wish I could name myself the diet industry so I could get mentioned by everyone. But like, because everyone's like, who is the diet industry? Who's behind it? That's what I want to know. But my question for everyone here is, if you had one sentence.
One opportunity.
If you had one sentence to... Yeah.
We know this.
If you had one sentence on how to break the diet industry cycle, what would that sentence be that you could tell someone? Just one sentence.
Listen to your gut. I swear to God, with everything I tried, the hydroxycut, the RP templates, the no carbs, the no fat, the only protein, my gut knew it wasn't going to work because I'd never seen anyone do that and sustain it happily. And I knew, truly, it was only going to add to my disordered eating. So I think mine would be, I mean, can't ever keep things to a sentence, but mine would be fuck the magazines, fuck the people on Instagram that have nothing, that it worked for them. Their abs look banging. And their boobs are awesome. I get it. And their shoulders are great. And they got the best butt ever. But they're just telling you what worked for them. Like, listen to the experts and listen to your gut because you know what the right thing to do is.
So mine is, hold on a second. So my slogan is helping you get healthy one bite at a time. It's actually on the back of my tote. And I say it at the end of every one of my podcasts with the mindset in mind that it is all about habits and behavior change. And it's all about swapping. And that's actually how I went from restricting, over-exercising, under-eating, all of those, that kind of poor relationship with food and doing it all the wrong way. And then I realized, like, if this is the way, I don't want it to be the way because I'm not happy. So, like, what's a better way? And so before I went to school to become a registered dietitian, I was like, let me just try this. And what I did was I changed, like, my breakfast choices. I would go to Dunkin' Donuts and get a reduced fat blueberry muffin and thought I was doing better, but I realized that a muffin's really just a cupcake with without the frosting on the top. So I realized, like, okay, I have to educate myself. You're actually better off with a donut than a muffin. Okay, that's how the nutrition quality is, like, not great with muffins. But anyways, so I started to educate myself, and I realized, okay, let me just start with breakfast. Then I went to, like, eliminating the fast food, then drinking more water, and it was all about habits and behavior change. So that's why my slogan, if I could say it in one word, if you want to be healthier, I will help you get healthy one bite at a time.
Hey. Oh. I was gonna have to. Oh. I was just gonna say it's time to get really fucking honest with yourself. Like, you know what's wrong with you. You're just not ready to admit it. We all really know deep down. You have to really dig deep and stop looking for this surface level answer. Oh, I just need, like, the next diet guru, or I just need to drink this celery juice, or do keto for a month, or buy this Beachbody thing. No, like, you got to do the real work, and you have to realize that. And once you realize that and you're, like, ready to sit in and, like, take care of this and really do the hard stuff, you'll get past it. Like, that's the clincher.
Thank you. Anybody else wanna share their sentence?
Yeah, a little bit longer.
I just want you to remember that if it worked in 30 days, you wouldn't have to do it twice. That's all. I got the mic back.
Mic drop. Awesome. Desi.
Thank you. So I love to ask this question, and it comes up all the time. And
Desi, you're supposed to give a sentence, bro. I'm just
sorry. One sentence, okay? It's actually one question. So if the number on the scale could not affirm who you are, could not make or break your day, who are you and how do you present yourself in this world? That right there in itself is going to tell you everything about your the way that you interact with food.
That is a mic drop. Can you repeat that one more time for the audience?
Weight room beef. So I like to ask my clients if they're really struggling. I say, hey, if the number on the scale never existed, right, and you can't get affirmed by it, you can't make or break your day, how do you interact with the world? How do you show up? And what do you bring to the world? So if they can't answer that, then there's an issue with exactly what we're talking about.
That thing.
I don't know if I have a sentence yet. But I do feel like I feel as, I mean, I guess like the people who I work with in my coaching, I'm grateful. The hard work that we're doing and the people that we work with are doing is that the scale doesn't define them anymore. What I guess I'm seeing more of, and I know that if you're listening to this and you follow this podcast, I know that you're probably struggling with the fact that, like, a lot of my clients, like, they come to me like, I don't care what this scale says, but I can't fit into I can't fit my clothes. Like, I can't enjoy time with my husband. I can't do all of these things because I hate the way that I look, right? Like, I truly believe, and I don't know if you guys would agree, I truly believe that our diet, like the work that we're doing, is shifting away from a number on a scale, but we're finding so many people still unhappy in their bodies with their clothes, when they walk into a room with their dress, whatever, in a bathing suit. And they're having such a hard time losing weight. And so what are they doing? Like how we started this podcast. They're grabbing at quick fixes versus going to the root cause of the issue. And that's the problem. That's what we see, because that's I've been there. It's a hard life to live when you feel confident at work because you own the shit out of it, but then you put clothes on and you look awful. And that just dilutes your confidence.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Not matching up. I think what a lot of people that I help, what they come to me for is they're like, I'm crushing all these areas in my life, but I just feel like I'm not taken as seriously because my inside doesn't match my outside. And I actually was that person. I remember growing up, I was an overachiever. I felt like I was happy and I was, I was doing all the right things. I was a nice person. I was a giving person, but I also never felt like I was seen because I was overweight. And I just so badly wanted to people to know that I was working super hard. I was an athlete, but I was still an overweight athlete. And I was like, I just want people to see how much work I put in. I train really hard. I try really hard, and I just want to be taken seriously. And I think that's a big thing that a lot of people are just trying to match up. And I hear that and I feel that, but we also have to remember that. So as you're striving to be better, you still have to appreciate the good things that you have, and eventually then we can get it to work together. But I think you have to do all of the work. And I think that's what we all specialize in, is that it's really just a lifestyle change, and it's more we're helping people really change their mindsets around food. And I think when you do that and you focus on that, that's how you're able to appreciate your progress. Because if you do a 30-day diet, whatever it is, whether you're successful or not, it's not going to be enough for you because you're not doing the other work, right? So it's why are you trying so hard to prove this matching this inside with the outside? What is that really about? There's definitely something deeper and more underlying about that.
So this is crazy, amazing value that is being added and dropped in the table today. And I think we can all take a little piece of every single thing that everybody has said, because I think if there's a conclusion that I've had listening to you guys, because I wanted you to be the guest and the people really sharing what they do and how they help people change their lives. It's really how you help them accomplish that, but also kind of the process that you achieve, or that you follow to achieve that. But what I'm hearing is it's something that goes deeper than the scale. It's something that goes deeper, that goes years back. And if you're listening to this, it's learning to identify that what you're trying to achieve, or the reason why you're struggling with the weight or the physical part, it's deeper than what you think it is. It's not necessarily the fact that you want to look better. It's the feeling that you're going to get when you look better and you kind of see yourself in the mirror and you're like, wow, I feel amazing. And somebody said in here how many people have changed their careers and they change their habits because of the fact that they have focus on one thing. There's a book called The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg, and I talked about this all the time, and they talk about the keystone habit. We are teaching our clients a keystone habit, and this is exactly what I tell them. It's you cannot focus on, if this is your focus right now, then you're not going to focus on your finances. It's not you're not going to pay attention to it, but your main focus becomes your nutrition, your fitness, and you're going to see how every single thing in your life is going to improve. When I focus on my nutrition and my fitness, I hired Tony Stefan as my nutrition coach, not my business coach. I actually got better at everything else, my finances, my relationship with my fiance, everything else. So I love to be here for hours, but we had to come to an end. But I think the last question that I wanted to ask everybody, because everybody in here does a different type of coaching. Not every single person is destined to, or it's suited to do each. Well, I guess Jenna, you just sent me some clients, they were not really suited for you. So I guess the question is how do you determine, or how do you think people should determine what to go? And I'm gonna say here some of the different options or different ways that we coach people. And by when I'm saying this, I'm not meaning that these are diets. Okay, so I'm going to repeat that because I feel a lot of times I have to repeat things 20 times for people listening in so they understand this is not a diet, but more the style of coaching to get to your result, to get you to that goal that you're trying to achieve. For example, me and Alex, and I know Ben does a little bit of this too, we do macro-based coaching, which is not necessarily the same macros, if it fit your macros bullshit you hear all the time, but it's about using a tool to develop awareness, to develop change. Right? So how do you determine somebody to accomplish that? And for example, I know Jenna does behavioral eating. I think that Toni does that too. Jenna, you also do macro-based coaching as well. So how do people determine that? How do we go about really identifying the best? And I wish Claire was here too to talk about intuitive eating, but how do people identify the best style of coaching that we need to follow, according to that? Anybody?
I'll just say that I think the main thing that's the most important thing when trying to select the right coach for you is if you like them and you vibe with them and you appreciate them, you're going to want to work hard for them. Right? So I think that's really important. You have to have their content has to speak to you, right? So if you follow Tips with Toni and what I write, it resonates with you and it says something to you and it speaks to your heart, chances are I know what you need and I'm going to help you, right? So I think if you are consuming the content and realizing like, oh wow, what she said actually makes sense for me, like that makes sense for me, then that's probably like a start to something that like I should reach out. And so I know all of us here have an application process, and I would just say is that on that discovery call after they fill out that application, I think that's when you're really going to get to understand like if this is for you. So I'm very clear on my calls that this is a 6-month commitment. This is you really choosing to change your life. This is not a one and done thing. This is not a 6-week thing. This is not an 8-week challenge. This is something that's really going to help you to develop healthier habits and behaviors. And I can't give you the clear picture of what's happening in 6 months. So if you're okay with going in with the uncertainty, but knowing that you have someone there to guide you, to support you, to really go over everything you're currently eating, your work-life balance, what you want to change in your life, and slowly build those healthy habits. Like I said, I help people get healthy one bite at a time. But also sometimes too, I don't even talk about food. Sometimes we talk about sleep. We talk about the things that are affecting your food choices and how do we create an environment that's going to support you to thrive. So that's really where I go is like, how can I help you be the best version of you, of what you want? Not what the media tells you, not what your mom tells you, not what your sister tells you, but what you want. And what I try to focus on is like, let's work on developing the healthier habits and behaviors first. Let's make those healthy swaps over the 6 months. And let's see where your progress goes in the gym. Let's see where you end up in your confidence. Let's see what happens. And if you're open to being open about potential change, but knowing it's going to be better than where you're at, then my program is for you.
Yep. That's great.
I think one thing all of us do, whether it's macro, whether it's intuitive, is that we change your whole freaking life. I don't think anyone can sit here and be like, well, I'm going to give you these really cute meal numbers and like that's going to be it. Like we truly make a transformation. I always laugh and say like 10% of what I do is nutrition. Now, if I didn't work on the other 90, there's no way it would be sustainable. If I didn't work on your mindset or your sleep or your stress or your relationships or how you're viewing yourself or your spot, whatever it is, and we would never make lasting changes. My goal is that my clients don't need me forever. I think that's probably all of our goals. I don't want a client for 4 years. That means I'm not teaching you anything, and that's a problem. So I guess one thing I think we all do, but one thing that like just really truly resonates with me is that I empower the hell out of my clients, right? Like you have to understand it. You have to take ownership of your body and your life. I'm there to teach you. I'm there to help you understand it. And I do it via macro coaching, right? Because with my life and with what I've found success in, macro coaching works for me. I love it. I love the science behind it. I love knowing exactly what's going into your body. Especially if a lot of my clients work out regularly and they want body composition goals. They want to see if they want to see their abs, awesome, cool, me too. But mostly it's like, I want to look damn good in a fucking tank top. Like I want my legs to look like solid. Like those are the goals that we're working toward. And so we do have to look at, do you have enough protein? Are you getting enough carbs? Are you getting enough fat? And if there's any problems like hormones or metabolism, or if you're a CrossFit athlete, we have to make sure you're getting enough carbohydrates. But I also don't believe in you guys,
little small break.
We've been doing so good at keeping like the status quo, but Desi's recording us on Instagram Live, and he just slowly gets up to grab a taco. I just couldn't do it, and I know we're not editing this out, but. But oh my gosh, if you guys could see what's happening, sharing tacos, Toni needs wine. We're a mess. Oh. We're gonna
intermission, guys.
But I think one thing that even if we do macro coaching, like you better believe I'm gonna damn well empower you that you understand why you need carbs, why you need protein, why you need fat. And so macro coaching, but empowering you within all of that is what I do.
Awesome. Jenna or Toni?
Oh, I pass it to Toni. With a Y.
What's going on?
What do you do with coaching?
Oh, but I want it. It looks good. I'm hungry. Is this what are we doing here?
What type of coaching do you do?
What kind of coaching do I do?
Yeah, how do you define your type of coaching? Is there like a style that you would call it, or
dancing, loving,
or hydrating?
And hydrating. DLH. Hydrate or Diedrate. That is all my coaching is about. Getting you to drink more water.
So if I drink water, I'll lose weight? I just need to hydrate?
That's all you need to do.
I'm doing it wrong.
My style of coaching is just behavior changes and habit building. I see a lot of people fail because of the things they learn. Most people have a good idea of what healthy eating is, quote unquote. So I kind of help them align it to what their goals are. I help them understand that what they read on a magazine, what they heard on Instagram, is it true or is it false? And what's the science behind it? And I explain them the science.
The why.
The why. And the biggest enjoyment I get from a client is when they tell me they learned something from me and they were able to share it with their significant other, spouse, or child. Because that means they actually learned something and were able to apply it. And to me, that's the biggest thing I can get from my coaching.
Thank you. That's awesome. Ben Tzeel, he works with a very difficult and you yourself being a type 1 diabetic, like you walk the walk, you know,
Yes.
and you do, like, you know, like for those of you guys listening, like Ben, I think he mentioned that he is a type 1 diabetic and he coaches type 1 and type 2 diabetics. So what is the style of coaching that you follow? Because I think like you do a bunch of different things. Because
I do the whole smorgasbord.
And why do you do different things?
So, I mean, because you can't just do one approach, because
Exactly.
not everybody with diabetes is the same. Because if everyone was the same, then my life would be really easy. And diabetes would be easy, but it's not. So like Andres, I do, and Alex, I do macro-based coaching to an extent. I start there because with diabetes, you're very number driven. You're always thinking about your blood sugar. You're always thinking about what you need to be doing, how much insulin you need. And so this way, you need to be counting your carbs anyway. So you might as well look at the other things, because fat and protein also impact your blood sugar and they can vary dramatically. So you kind of need to be aware of the whole picture. Then I say, okay, what's a couple things we can change? And obviously there's a whole behavior change part of it, but it's about 2 to 3 things at a time. Because let's be real, diabetes is already stressful. You're already looking at a million different changes. So I'm going to go a couple things at a time. You master them, you're good. And then we add another one. Then we'll add another one. And I'm also usually in charge of their strength and conditioning. So I'm also a strength coach. And that way, at least I know, okay, if your blood sugar is tanking while you exercise, here are some strategies we can do to try to figure out how to prevent that. Or your blood sugar goes high when you lift. Here's how we can prevent that. And that way I also know what activity they're getting, how consistent they are. So it's a lot of behavioral. There's the strength component, but there's also the nutrition component. We're looking at food quality besides just the macros, because that can affect blood sugar too. So we're really looking at everything. Thank you for that. That was really close. We'll try next time. But yeah, we're looking at food quality. We're looking at how much food. We're looking at when to have it, how to optimize it for your blood sugar. There's a million different things, but it's all necessary for diabetes.
Awesome. Thank you. All right, so we're going to because it's been it's an hour and 60 minutes, and I know you guys we just need to make sure that we're kind of conscious of your time,
fun.
and I want to make sure that you made it this far. So we're just going to finish up on a kind of like a light round. So every time I bring an interview into Viva Nutrition Radio, there's a rapid fire questions. We're going to go through them. So hey, but listen. So because we need to keep this like probably under 5 minutes, we're going to go. It's a rapid fire question. That means like you have to answer the first thing. It's like very simple things, nothing crazy. It's just the fun part, because it's just I feel like we just need to lighten the mood. We went deep into some important things. So these are the simple questions, and we're gonna pass out the mic. I'm gonna keep this one here. So we're gonna pass out the mic so you to answer real quick. Okay? They're simple, super stupid questions, but I feel like it's going to be a nice little thing. We're going to start. We can start with you, and we'll just go around it. Okay? First question.
You can have the
pass
rest
it.
of
These
mine.
are the rules. This is a simple question. You pass the mic, and then you go on to the next thing. It cannot be more than a sentence. Okay? Ready? Here we go.
So you're saying something, then I'm saying one.
Yes.
Okay.
Huh? There's the same question for everybody. It's simple, stupid. It's silly questions. Like you see. Favorite exercise? Go.
Barbell glute bridge.
Good. Next.
Trying to build your booty, dude?
I got beautiful.
Oh, my favorite exercise. Sorry, squat.
Bench press.
Ooh.
I love burpees.
Who would
Sprints.
say that?
Deadlift.
Okay.
Snatch all day.
What kind of snatch?
Nice. Good. Awesome. We're going to go into the second question. The second question is, this is going to be not exercise related, a book that you would recommend somebody to read or to listen to, if it's an audiobook or something that you feel like it transcended your life, or something that you've heard that you'd like to recommend, not only your clients but people listening in.
The Power of Now.
Eckhart Tolle. That's
The 7 Habits of successful people.
The Secrets of the Millionaire Mind.
The 5-Second Rule by Mel Robbins.
a good one.
Girl, wash your face.
That's a good one.
The Daily Stoic.
Dare to Lead by Brené Brown.
Those are good ones. So, guys, please make sure you should have your notepad out right now. Because
I'm happy no one said Kama Sutra.
But make sure you
That's
keep those
my
things
second
out.
favorite, tell me.
All right, we're going to go into another question, which is going to be about podcasting. So I'm sure if you are listening to this, you probably listen to podcasts. So besides this one, because this is the best podcast in the world, what is one podcast? And you guys can talk about yours, because I know you have podcasts. You can recommend your own. What is a podcast that you would recommend people to listen to besides VV Nutrition Radio?
I only listen to Empire podcast from Bedros and Craig Ballantyne.
Justin Sua's podcast.
Increase Your Impact. Amazing podcast.
The Jenn Kennedy Show with 2 N's.
Jen's podcast is amazing.
I hate to say this, but I really actually stopped listening to podcasts because I felt like I was over-consuming and not taking action. So I'm going to just give myself a plug. So the Tips with Toni podcast.
Tips with Toni. That's great. Toni
That
has a
was the Tips with Toni podcast. And I recently just started listening to podcasts. I recently got a puppy, and now on our walks we do this. But I really enjoy the Skinny Confidentials podcast for just mindless listening, and the Angie Lee Show.
You and my fiance would get along. You and my fiance would get along very well.
I love all the Betches podcasts, specifically Diet Starts Tomorrow. And the UUP podcast, even though I'm married, it's really fun dating advice.
I would say the Quick Brain podcast, 15-minute quick hits on productivity, the brain, everything. And then Mom and Dad Are Fighting. It's amazing.
Excellent. Great ones. All right, so last question would be, and this is a fun one. I've heard all kinds of crazy things on this one.
Oh, boy.
You've heard of this one before. If you were stranded on a desert or like a desertic island, like you were just dropped in there, you have hydration, so no worries, and you have insulin. In
I
your
was about
case,
to say, do I got my insulin?
you have insulin. So you have, in your case, Ben, you have insulin and water, so you're good. But if you could choose one food to eat for the rest of your life, what would that be?
Peanut butter.
Wow, we got some peanut butter fans here. One food? No, I'd have to bring my grandmas with me on the island so they could cook
Rice and
whatever I
beans?
wanted. Plantains.
Okay.
Oh. Shit. Yeah, they actually... Do you want to revoke that?
Hydrate or Diedrate.
Water was given, but
That's
you're good.
hard. That's hard.
That's what she said.
Well, if you want some,
That's what you
if you
hope.
want some help with this, like I've heard things from. Listen, I've heard things from like poke bowls to like lasagna. I know, well, it's anything. There's no rules on here. It's anything.
I'm gonna go ahead and say ribeye with watermelon on the side.
Okay. Definitely flatbread pizza with vegetables on top, wine and coffee.
Jesus. that was a few things.
Not fair.
Did you want a butler with that too?
I think that I would do chocolate chips and peanut butter. I'm just going to keep it simple.
Well, you guys, I already was going to say peanut butter, but to diversify, a chopped salad, because I can do so many different toppings.
Well, but you're not giving toppings, so you just have to pick something. You have to give something like they're just like gonna give it to you. Like it's like unlimited. Like there's a big giant box of them in there that's gonna last you for the rest of your life.
Probably pizza then.
Yes. That's mine.
Wait, so then my tostadas gets thrown out because those are layers.
No, I think it's technically one.
Yeah. All right, so. And a butler apparently.
Only one compound food is going to be allowed in this.
All right, I'm going with tostadas and my mom's salsa all mother friggin' day.
Okay, nice. So and the reason why I ask this question, guys, is because I want people to understand that people love food. And people love things like this, and a lot of times when they're being given a choice to have this for the rest of your life, you would choose something that would make you happy. You can have anything you want in life. You can have anything you can eat, anything you want, even as a diabetic. You just need to understand that it's part of the process that for you to learn how you can include those things into your lifestyle to be able to be happy and live happily. Okay, so I think that's like the last thing we're going to talk. This is typically a longer podcast than it usually is, but it's been an amazing pleasure to have such great minds and coaches that are helping literally all together. I think we're helping we've helped thousands of people to change your life. And well, obviously the last thing is like I would like for you guys to talk briefly about how can people find you, how can people reach out to you, because literally like there's people I don't want to work with that I prefer, like Jenna to work with, or that I would prefer, like obviously like diabetes people, like straight up Tzeel, so how can people find you and how can people reach out to you? We can start with Alex.
So I am ALIXTUROFF_RD on Instagram or alextaroffnutrition.com.
And all this stuff is going to go into the show notes, okay? Just so you know.
I can be found on Instagram at FitDadsCoach, and then with my new pivoted Facebook group, Men of Purpose, Nutrition Coaching with Desi. Super pumped about it.
And by the way, guys, if you like TED Talks, you have to listen to Desi's TED Talk. Is it like you have to, what's it called? Food Fights Can Save Your Life. So look it up on YouTube, like it, share it, love it, and let them know that you loved it.
So this is Jenna. I am Happy Slim Healthy on Instagram, Balanced AF with HSH on Facebook, and happyslimhealthy.com.
What does the AF stand for?
As fuck.
So I am Tips with Toni. That's Toni with an I. It's tips_with_Toni on Instagram, or you can go to www.tipswithtoni.com or send me your messages or questions directly at tipswithtoni@gmail.com.
I'm going to make this easy. It's Jenn Kennedy Nutrition on every single platform. JennKennedyNutrition.com, Jenn Kennedy Nutrition on Instagram, Jenn Kennedy Nutrition on Facebook, and then my podcast is The Jenn Kennedy Show. So it's really just search Jenn Kennedy and you're going to find it. 2 N's.
You can find me dancing in the club.
Doing push-ups or
hydrating at the club. Never Diedrating at Coach Toni Castillo. Love being a co-host here on Vive Nutrition. To the patron, Andres.
Man of Tzeel, MANOFTZEEL on the gram, and yourdiabetesinsider.com.
Awesome. Well, guys, we have achieved the end of this podcast. Thank you for after a long weekend, obviously taking the time to, it's literally 8:30 o'clock in here. From some of us, it's literally almost 11:30. So thank you guys so much for being part of the Vive Nutrition Radio. I appreciate you. I love you all. It's been amazing to have you guys in here. And for you guys listening in, peacing out from Costa Mesa, California. I'll see you guys later. Have a good one. You have been listening to Vive Nutrition Radio. Couple of things before you take off. If you enjoyed this episode, please, I would love to get your feedback. So feel free to drop down a review, and I will be forever grateful. Also, if you like this podcast, make sure you hit the subscribe button. We have it on iTunes, Spotify, or Google Play. And lastly, if you would like to receive a freebie from me, make sure you sign up for our newsletter. at www.vive-nutrition.com. See you guys in the next episode. Ciao, ciao.